In Middle-earth, the One Ring doesn't defeat armies with fire or steel. It bypasses the battlefield entirely and devours the wearer's mind. It grants you the power to vanish from sight, but it weaponizes that invisibility, burrowing into your psyche and twisting you into a paranoid monster. The creator of Middle-earth, J.R.R. Tolkien, was an Oxford classical scholar. He knew his ancient history, and he was not the first person to write about a magical ring of invisibility that ruins its owner. 2,400 years ago, the Greek philosopher Plato posed a question that stripped away every external reason to be good. What if the ring itself had no dark magic at all? What if the artifact was neutral, and the evil it produced came entirely from the person wearing it? The fantasy weapon we know from modern pop culture is actually an ancient thought experiment. It is a mirror, designed to test the absolute limits of human morality. In Book 2 of Plato's Republic, a character named Glaucon enters into a debate with Socrates over why humans behave morally. To prove his point, Glaucon tells the myth of Gyges. Gyges is a humble shepherd who discovers a glowing golden ring hidden deep inside a chasm after a violent earthquake. He slips it onto his finger and realizes it grants absolute invisibility. No one can see him, leaving him entirely free from the consequences of his actions. Gyges wastes no time. He infiltrates the royal palace, seduces the queen, murders the king, and seizes the throne. Glaucon uses this story to argue for psychological egoism, the theory that humans are inherently selfish, acting good only because we fear punishment. He takes the argument to its limit. Given this ring, a saint and a tyrant's behavior eventually becomes identical. According to this philosophy, justice is a social fiction. The fear of getting caught is the only barrier keeping us from acting like monsters. Back in Middle-earth, Tolkien tests Glaucon's cynical theory through his own characters. There is a crucial difference in Tolkien's lore. The One Ring is actually a sentient, highly malevolent force, but it cannot create evil from nothing. It has to exploit desires already sitting inside the wearer's mind. This is why a powerful warrior like Boromir falls to the ring's temptation quickly, while hobbits like Frodo and Sam resist its pull for months. The hobbits endure because they lack the ambition to dominate others. Their deepest desire is a quiet life, leaving the ring with no psychological fuel to burn. Tolkien uses the framework of Plato's myth to show that raw ambition, when it isn't anchored by personal virtue, is humanity's fatal weakness. But Glaucon's view isn't the final word. Socrates, and later Aristotle, offered a rebuttal centered on the internal mechanics of the human soul. They argue that the invisible man might escape the police and steal whatever he wants, but in doing so, he breaks the internal harmony that makes a life worth living. They focused on the concept of eudaimonia, or true human flourishing. This state is reached through rational, virtuous living. When a tyrant trades that virtue for absolute power, he sacrifices his flourishing and becomes a slave to his darkest appetites. Absolute power without consequences doesn't give you freedom, it locks you inside the ultimate psychological prison. We don't have magical jewelry today, but we do have a modern equivalent to the Ring of Gyges, internet anonymity. It poses a question for our era. When shielded from consequences behind a digital screen, do you act with virtue, or do you become a digital tyrant? There is a direct line from the paranoid hall isolation of Gollum hiding in his cave to the modern individual corrupted by digital impunity. Absolute power doesn't grant you the ability to hide from the world. It strips away societal disguises, leaves you alone with yourself, and reveals exactly who you are.